Hi, Connie. Welcome to the Shift series.
Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad to be connected and so glad you're here with me. I have a little funny throat. We've had the flu going around in my family, so forgive me if I get froggy. I have my hot tea here.
Okay.
But I'm really excited that you're joining us. Your area of expertise is one of the most common areas that I see surface across the board with both families living with chronic illness, children with chronic illness. It's one of the beginning entry points for people to find their way back to healing, whether they're dealing with Lyme disease or autoimmune conditions or allergies or environmental issues. So I feel so incredibly grateful for your time here today, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about your story and what brought you to the point of being a gluten intolerance and food sensitivity specialist.
Oh, wow. My story started about 6 years ago. I had just actually, I lived out of Texas for a really long time, and I decided I was moving back home, basically. In Austin, well, that was the only place I was going to live because it's a great place,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you've heard.
Yes.
So I moved back, and for a really long time, I had just been feeling, really low energy, just really crappy, a lot of foggy headedness. I would eat, and I would still be hungry, and I had no energy, and I love, to be really active, and I was very social, and it was just like I wanted to hide out all the time, and that just wasn't who I was before, so I didn't really know what was going on. I figured I was stressed out like everybody else, right? I was a job I hated,
Right.
really wasn't fulfilling, so, I thought it would help moving back to, Texas, being closer to my mom, so, I kept feeling like that, and I really had no idea what was going on. Like most people, you just chalk it up to your lifestyle, right, and what you're doing. Then I started dating Tobin. He's now my husband, and it just kept getting worse. Like I was actually getting chronic fatigue. I didn't feel like getting out of bed, nausea, no energy. I couldn't really think straight at all. I don't even know how, I was like a zombie, basically, to really sum it up.
Yep.
And I just ate like I never could get full. Like my body was never satisfied, no energy. So one weekend we ate pasta, we ate pizza, and then the next day at lunch I had crab cakes. And I just came home that night and I was miserable. I had abdominal pains. I was nauseated. And I just really couldn't do anything. So I basically laid down for the night and I just felt miserable. So the next day, Tobin suggested to me take out gluten, and I had no idea what the hell that was. But I figured it was worth a shot taking it out, right? And he only knew about gluten because he had a friend that was gluten intolerant. So it was just, happened to connect to the right person that had a little clue about what was going on, even though that wasn't a big conversation. So I took it out for a couple of weeks, and then I ate a cinnamon roll like one day on the weekend just to test it out and see how I'd feel. And I was sick like within 30 minutes. So I was very clear that whatever gluten was, it was not working for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I started feeling a little bit better, but not like leaps and bounds, you would think, right? So I went to a doctor, functional doctor here that a friend recommended that she had gone gluten-free with. And I would started feeling better for about 6 months, but then I would roll backwards, basically having the same sort of symptoms I had before, but I knew I hadn't eaten gluten. So I was just like, what is going on here? And he was, oh, don't worry about it. It takes a lot of time. And I was just like, okay. So I went home, and just how I am, I started hitting the internet, and I had already hit the internet to learn more about gluten, and I knew a lot about it already, but to figure out what was going on with me and why I wasn't feeling better since I had taken out what I thought was the culprit in my body, right?
Right.
So I stumbled upon some information on a blog, and this one doctor was talking about, you should take this specific food allergy test and some other tests, and, just ask your doctor for these tests. And he said, if you're not getting better, these will help shed some light on that, what's going on around, gluten intolerance or food allergies. So I went and asked my doctor, I said, I found some information. I want to take these tests specifically. And he goes, oh, you don't need to take tests, Connie. And I was like, okay. I go, this is my last visit to you.
Right.
Yeah. So then I found one of my other friends had just recently found out, like, she had food sensitivities going on as well, right? Because it's a common thing. Everybody keeps finding out. So I went to her naturopath, and she did a few different tests, and she actually did a food allergy test on me. But just so your listeners know, food allergy tests are not all created equal.
Right.
And the ones that is becoming a very standard common food allergy test that most Western doctors, and I don't know if a lot of functional doctors use it or not, it tests your IgG antibodies, which it's not always very accurate. So it came back saying that I was sensitive to everything. So I went home. I was like stressed out. I showed my husband. I was just like, what the hell? I was like, this doesn't, help me figure out anything. I was like, I can't be sensitive to everything, right? So, and then they wanted me to do a rotation diet, which basically is they break it down to the food families, and you're supposed to rotate them out, within a 72-hour period, and they're supposed to be out of your body within that time frame, which is one of the myths I've stumbled upon. So that wasn't working. So I hit that, and I wasn't getting the answers, and I wasn't getting better. So I hit the internet again, and I went back to this blog post that was written by a doctor, and it's actually Dr. Peter Osborne. He's in Sugar Land, Texas, and he is now my doctor.
Nice.
He is the one, between my research and knowledge, that I finally found a doctor that, his niche is gluten intolerance and food allergies. That is what he specifically does.
Awesome.
So he knows his information around it. And he, I did a consultation with him. My husband and I did one over the phone with him, and that was it. I knew he was my doctor. So
great.
I started to go to him, and he does phone appointments, or you can go to him, face to face, whichever you choose, right? And he gave me a food allergy test, specifically the ELISA test, which tests white blood cells. So it can it tests the antibodies. So it's not like what's currently in your body. So it can test basically, what's been in your body. So I found out I had other things that were irritating my body besides gluten. So like dairy. Then I had some really off the wall ones, which are really common for people who have off the wall ones. Sorry, like apricot and pork.
Interesting.
I never would have known. And elimination diets will never. That's one thing. It would never help you figure that out, because that's not really something common for people, right? So, and he also does protocol about, you have to heal a leaky gut, because most people have a leaky gut to heal. And that's why I was not feeling any better, because my gut wasn't getting healed.
Right.
I had the right tools or the right doctor to steer me down that road. So with his protocol, I finally gotten my gut healed, and my foggy head is gone. I can really think clear now. I can operate like a person and not a zombie. So, but it's taken time. It's taken like 2 years. So
it does take time, and you now help people. I love your story, because one of the primary elements of the mission behind the Shift series is to remind people that you can find your own healing through self-empowerment, that you can take your health back into your own hands, and that you can work in collaboration with your doctor or practitioner, but not to stay stuck. And so I love that your story shows how you allowed yourself to trust your instincts and move from your functional doctor to a naturopath to then an MD, all in a balance back and forth between maybe someone recommended by a friend, someone you found online, and each step of the journey took you closer and closer. And now you're at a place where you're able to help other people on the same journey.
Right.
So how does that work when a client comes to you and has just been diagnosed and doesn't know where to begin? Where do you start with them in the journey?
Okay. And just to go back for 1 second, because if my doctor hears this, he's not actually an MD. He's actually a chiropractic functional doctor. So
wonderful. Okay, great. Yeah.
I know he'd want that differentiation made. So
absolutely. No, that's wonderful.
So when people come to me, I first find out, my primary clients are the people that are newly diagnosed with either gluten intolerance or food allergies. And usually people have both.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out exactly where they're at, and, where they're, they may have, people struggle in different areas at first, but the most common areas people are struggling with is like, they find out from even the best doctor, like my doctor, you have to take these food out, but they don't have time to really handhold your hand, right?
Yeah. Right.
So finding alternatives to, alternative fruits and vegetables and flowers that people, just alternative foods that people don't know about.
Yes.
Because you didn't have to.
Right.
Right? And our culture, right, is focused on these specific foods. So you don't know that things exist. So helping introduce, alternative foods to people, showing them there's like great foods out there, great ingredients to make new types of, for example, like muffins out of like almond flour, coconut flour, helping them find those ingredients they don't know exist. So one of my main requests right now is shopping trips, helping them. And then another segment would be, the kitchen part, right? Easy recipes, helping them figure out, the tips and tricks around like bulk meals, right? And, preparing things and that sort of thing, making it easy. But yet, you have that time factor. So just helping them put a strategy around all of it, right?
I love it. From grocery store to pantry to kitchen, those are the key elements that you really need behind you so that you can stop being hungry and then not make impulsive choices and really start to feel nourished again.
Right.
What other tips do you have? Go ahead. Yeah.
The second piece that comes in that people don't really realize is like socializing, and then like having those conversations with family, friends, even people you don't really know, right?
Yep.
Because everyone's interested in it because it deals with food.
Yep.
And then the emotions that sort of get upheaved that you don't expect or really think about having, because we have all this attachment to our food and how we socialize, and it's just a big part of our lifestyle. So that's something people also, once they start getting into it, they're sort of like, wow.
Yeah.
I realize I'd have to deal with that.
It is an emotional journey for sure.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
What do you recommend as they start to acclimate to their new diet, and then you get to the point where you want to help them with that leaky gut, really help them now restore and rebuild? What are some of the simple techniques that people can begin with to address that leaky gut besides just removing the culprits?
Well, the first step is definitely removing the culprits and going to a doctor that knows what he's doing around that, so that you get the accuracy you need to know what to take out. Because one of the things I always tell people, it's more than taking the food out.
Right.
So you have a doctor that knows to take that out, and then he'll do other protocols that also affect your leaky gut healing, like heavy metals. I would have never known that, right?
Yep.
And then, to help, help really start getting faster and healing so you can do the things you love again, is really focusing on your health and focusing on what you eat. And I really encourage my clients to look at, it's an adventure and it's fun. There's like so many things you can eat, and you can eat better than you ever ate before. So, and just walk around like you own the world with it. And it's not a big deal. It's not like the end of the line because you can't eat this food, this food group, right? It just opens up a lot more doors. You can get your health back. You can start living again. You can do the things you love again. And I'm here so you can do that, 10 times faster than you would on your own, because I already know the mistakes since I've been there and I've done them. So that way I can prevent you from doing them.
I love it. And it's so helpful to have someone to hold your hand, as you said, and to have someone to inspire you and bounce ideas off. And just even that accountability piece as you navigate those phases, those phases of awareness, learning, and then potentially grief as you kind of find your new normal. So, so I'm wondering if there were just one thing a person could do, if they are where you're describing, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're maybe in denial a little bit, or they just don't know where to begin. They think it's not really going to make that big of a difference if they go gluten-free. This can't really be that big of an impact on their health. What is just one thing that a person could do, that anyone could do, to get started onto this path of recovery?
The one thing I really recommend people doing besides taking gluten out, like
Yes.
to really start getting healthy again, is really taking all grains out. Because one of the biggest misconceptions out there, and I've learned this through my experiences, but through my doctor and through my own experiences, like you don't just go to, oh, the gluten-free processed packaged stuff, right? Because that's just as bad as the gluten stuff with all the, GMOs in it, the additives, the chemicals and toxins in our food supply, our sources already, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest mistakes. So don't go to the gluten-free processed aisle just because you've gone gluten-free. I mean,
Amen.
the only way I got healed is taking out all the grains, because all grains have gluten, and this is another thing most people don't know. So they all have gluten, and they can all cross react within your gut, which causes inflammation, so your gut won't get healed.
Yeah, that inflammatory component of grains is just so big. So what a wonderful recommendation for a first step to healing. Tell us where we can find you. We will certainly have your link posted below, and also we'll be excited to share your guest blog. We can find you online at Gluten.
Gluten and foodallergyspecialist.com.
Thank you. Yes, and look for Connie's coaching services, but also her upcoming 8-week course, really helping to hold your hand and walk you through these phases of coming back into good health with your digestive system. So, Connie, thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate it. I'm so grateful for the work you're doing in the world.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay, and I'm really excited to share what I'm up to and share it with other people, because I really want to make a difference.
I can feel it. Thanks so much, Connie. Take care.
Thanks, Lindsay. You too.